architects of deception. Okay, architects of deception. And we've heard a lot this morning already about building and building the family name, which pastor is, he is the family builder, the builder of the name of Yahweh and the house of Yahweh, okay, in these last days, Zerubbabel. But there's some other builders. Remember, there's always two sides of the coin, right? So that means there's another side of that number 1122, because 11, I want you to understand something about the numbers 11, 22, and 33. Those are the master builder numbers of the Freemasons. Okay, they're builder numbers. We'll learn more about that as we go along, not today maybe, but in another sermon. Can I have the next slide? I gave you all an assignment a few weeks ago. I asked you, remember the frequency of linen, 5,000? And the frequency signature of the man clothed in linen was 1934. And I asked you to subtract 1934 from 5,000. Did anybody do that? Because here's what you get. Here's what you become when you lose the 1 cent. You become Yada. You become Yada, and you become Lucius, which is a form of Lucifer. Now remember, Yada was the light bringer. Remember, they did bear the light of Yahweh. They were supposed to be teaching the laws of Yahweh, but they didn't do so. They held the scepter, the evil scepter. So we don't want to lose the 1 cent. I'm looking at that 1 cent there, and it says Passover. Passover 2010. I guess you could drop those zeros and you'd get 21, right? That's the second Passover, isn't it? That pastor's looking forward to? Huh. Can I have my next slide? So let's start at the beginning, because we're going to take a journey. It's a course we're going to take. And this is Genesis 3:5. It says, "And the serpent said to the woman, 'You will not surely die, for he knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be as gods, Elohim, knowing righteousness and evil.'" Let's look at these numbers. The first one is 1870, and it means a course of life or mode of action, custom, eastward, journey. Now, remember that word eastward means the beginning. It's in Genesis. It talks about their journey, the journey that mankind is taking from the beginning, this course of life, this Nimrod course, as we're going to see, because they left off Yahweh, they listened to the serpent, and they said, yeah, we want to be as gods. We want to be God. Let's look at the second number, 1122. We're familiar with this number, but I'm going to give you some more definitions from that number that you haven't seen yet. It means sons, as in original sons, the original sons of Yahweh. Assyrians, meaning people with the mark of Cain, 666. Babylonians. Remember, Babylon means confusion, which is what the Nimrod system brought to mankind. It means beasts. It means tumultuous one. Remember, Moshe talked about the great tumults with the people with the mark? Foreigners to Yahweh's covenant. Troops, remember that word Gad or God, a euphemism for God, means troop. Warriors, whelps. Remember, a whelp is what Yada's called. Remember, he's a lion's whelp, a lion's cub. From 1129, it means builders. And the third number, 1443 in Jewish, it means masons. Masons, okay? And we're going to learn what a mason really is, because you don't have to join a lodge to be a mason, okay? Because Satan was the first mason. Pastors taught us that. Cain was a mason. Everyone that follows this way is a mason. When you add up all those numbers, you get 4435 from 4427, and it means to make queen, reign, and ruling. Now that's talking about the queen of heaven that these original sons are following, okay? And that the whole world is following at this time. These builders, these masons that are, we're going to learn that building isn't building a building. They're not building a building. They're building something completely different, but it's a society that's void of Yahweh, that has nothing to do with Yahweh, okay? Now notice, Freemason, compass, and square. We're going to learn about that. You see that big G in the middle? Well, I used to read about how they said that meant God, and I believe them, okay? It means God. You got that right, because that's what they want to become. Freemason, compass, and square, 1122. Okay, so I told you we're going to take a journey from the very beginning. Can I have my next slide? And if you remember, I did a sermon years back about Route 66, because this ties in. It's an allegory of this journey of mankind from the beginning in Genesis that they're taking to the end, okay, which we're almost at now. Now, U.S. Route 66, it's called the Main Street of America, or the Mother Road. Isn't that interesting? The Mother Road. Mother meaning the Satan, the Lilith, Lucifer, was one of the original highways in the U.S. highway system. Established 1111. Remember, that's one of their master builder numbers. And by the way, it was approved by C.Y. Avery, who was a 32nd degree Mason. And we'll learn more about why this highway system was developed for money, for monetary gain, to make a lot of money for the Masons all over America. It was established 11/11/26. This infamous American road originally ran from Chicago, Illinois to Santa Monica, California, covering a total of 2448 miles. Now, it shows you also off to the right, the birth of Route 66 was actually when this cable came through, when they said, hey, we want this number assigned to that highway that you're going to develop. And that was on 4/30/1926, 4/30. Now, when you put in the gematria from Chicago, Illinois to Santa Monica, California, you get that number 430. Well, number 430 in Strong's Hebrew means Elohim, God, little g God, goddess, from 433, God, gods. Remember, we're talking about the root of the house of God, or the house of Bethel, that started all the way back when they decided, to leave off Yahweh. Can I have my next slide? Now, I put the Main Street of America, the Mother Road, in gematria, and I want you to pay attention to what these meanings are. It means community. It's 2268. It means community. From 2267, an association, a company of bad priests, spell, band, charmer, a charmer company, a Babylonian magic, enchantment, a society, or a secret society. From 2266, that's the word I want you to always key in on, 2266. Now, I need to mention something about that number 66. If you remember and you think of Route 66, the book of Yahweh has 66 books, and the 66th book is the book of Revelation. The book of Isaiah, has 66 chapters. And it's also a form of, it shows the whole plan of Yahweh from the beginning to the end. In fact, Isaiah is split up into two different parts. The first 39 chapters show the fall of man, the judgments, the sentence of mankind. And then when you get to verse or chapter 40, that alludes to volume 2, in the volume 2 where it talks about comfort my people, and you start learning about the Messiah coming and Yeshua Hawkins and all those things, right? So it's broken up into two parts, just like the book of Yahweh is. It's a form of the book of Yahweh in that one book. I kind of jumped ahead, but it means to unite, 2266, to form an alliance, to join a league, to tie a magic knot or spell, to charm. And then 2268 in the Greek means Isaiah, which I just explained to you. Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, has 66 chapters. Remember Route 66. It's going to end, if you remember, chapter 66 in Isaiah shows the 1 hour burning. That's the end of their road that they're following here, this route that man has chosen to follow. Okay, now 2448 in the Greek means dullness of eyes and drunkenness. From 2447, dull, to be dull from wine, brilliant red. And lo and behold, it's only used one time in Genesis 49:12, speaking of Yada. Okay? And then 2448, remember that's the number of the miles of Route 66. 2448 Greek means Yada. What an amazing coincidence, right, House of Yahweh? Okay, so let's remember that number 2266, because I'm going to tie it in to all these people that are following Satan. Let's have my next slide. Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, and Herodians. Okay, the four ruling religions. Ruling religion, 666. Let's look at that first number. 379 means man or men of renown. Remember the gods. They called them giants in Genesis. They were the men of renown, the God worshipers. They weren't giants, so don't be looking for giants to come, 10 feet tall from outer space. That's a lie. That's a YouTube video that you probably watched. But don't believe that. These giants are these men of renown, these four ruling religions that are following Cain. 379 in the Greek means without a defense, without an excuse. Remember, he talked to them in Romans chapter 1, and he told these Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, and Herodians, you know the law of Yahweh, you know the judgments of Yahweh, you're without excuse. Now, Hebrews 22:74, it goes to 22:66. I told you to watch for that because it ties all this association, this company of men, these company of evil priests, and this secret society, okay, that they're compact and coupled together, that have fellowship with one another, that had made a league with Satan, an alliance with Satan, and against Yahweh, that are opposing Yahweh, okay? And 22:74 in the Greek means bad, evil in the widest sense, poisoned, inner malice, flowing from a morally rotten character, foul, bad, evildoer, evil thing, evil men, wretches, loathsome, and wrong. I mean, how much more evil could you get? Okay? Now, the 1407, there it is, Gad, which is a euphemism for God. And it's from 1413. It means to assemble in troops or bands, gather in troops. And then 1407 in Greek means a sickle, a gathering hook. So this letter G, Pastor told us in his last sermon, he says that we need to stop calling it gematria or gematria. In fact, he called it in the Mark of the Beast YaHmatria, Gammatri, because gamma is the letter G in Latin or Greek. But now let's have that next slide. I want you to show you this picture of this Masonic temple, and you see that throne there with the letter G above it. That's where the worshipful master sits. Wow. He must be important, huh? Worshipful master. The grand poobah. And the Flintstones, I guess, Okay, so they must be really important guys, right? Holy and great, as a matter of fact. And you notice on the altar there, you see the four horns? You see those four horns? Those are the four ruling religions that are controlling the Freemasons. The Freemasons and the Catholics, I showed you that Catholicism is Freemasonry. Okay, that's all it is. If you're outside the house of Yahweh, you are a Mason. Okay? In fact, you can take that word Mason and split it up. Son of the mother, following the mother, right? I'm not saying that's what it means, but I like to break words down. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, because I'm going to show you some really holy and great guys. Remember these 10 kings that made a league and joined up with Rome here recently in 2016? They call themselves the Holy and Great Council of the Orthodox Church. And notice, this gives them away again. 2844 means to break down either by violence or by confusion and fear, to abolish. That's what they've done. They've abolished Yahweh's laws, confusing the people. Terrify, remember they're terrorists that beat down and discourage mankind. Strong's Greek 2844 means a sharer, a partner, a companion, a comrade. Yes, they're all comrades. Associates. 2839, defiled, unclean, impure, unwashed, profane, unholy. From 4862, joined close together in tight identification, together with, associated with. And Pastor told us, if you're a Mason, you go to court and the judge sees that you're a Mason, they have signs they make and they wear rings and this and that you're not going to jail. They're going to look out for you. You're one of their comrades. You're joined close together with them. This next number, 2267, remember it goes to that 2266 or 2266. Remember root 66. Remember Revelation 22 is the last chapter in Revelation, which is interesting also. And it means to join, to tie a magic knot or spell, to charm, charmer, compact, couple together, have fellowship with, make an alliance, league, and fascinate. Fascinate. Yeah, they fascinate. Fascination. Fascinate was 666 in YaHmatria, and that's what occurred with Eve. She became fascinated by these arguments of the serpent, and she became a god. Let's look at 2267 in the Greek. It means Herodians. Herodians? Didn't Pastor tell us that the Herodians were the ones that formed the army and took these 4 ruling religions to Rome? Remember, beyond Babylon? The Herod? Can I have my next slide? When you add up the numbers in Holy and Great Council, you get 5585. It means to feel or grope about, to grope for. Remember, they're groping in darkness. Remember that? They can't find an answer. All their demons are even in darkness. They're divining. Their divination has become darkness, and they're groping about. They don't know what to do. 5585, that's in the Greek, by the way. 5585 in the Hebrew means to lop off bows. Well, Isaiah 10:33 says, "Behold, Yahweh of hosts will lop off the bow with terror." Those of high stature, you know, those holy and great guys that call themselves holy and great, those of high stature will be hewn down. Remember the tree, the evil tree is going to be cut down and cast into the fire at the end of Route 66. And the haughty will be humbled. Now let's look at holy and great, 666. 671 means I will divide the deceivers. 666 is the mark of Cain, the sign or signature of the beast. And Hebrew 111 means to be fierce and severe. And Greek 111 means unlawful thing, an abominable thing. And when you add up those numbers, you get 1448 from 1443, and it means, what else? Masons. Masons. Can I have my next slide? Here we go. The letter G that Pastor told us about. You put in the letter G in YaHmatria, and look what you get. 430, God. God. Why do you think they have the letter G over that compass, in the middle of that compass, and over that chair where the worshipful master, the grand poobah, sits? Right? It means God, big God, little God. So all you watching out there that think that, you know, if you worship the big God and you don't worship the little g God, that you're okay? No, they're all the gods, okay? And that's what Satan told. You want to be gods. You can become gods. You can join the Masons and you can be a god, right? Now notice, if you put in God, God, Goddess, Elohim, you get 1122. Remember, those are the builders. And 494 means God has given. God has given is 666 in YaHmatria, okay? I don't think I'd want to be given by God. How about you? Now, these builders, Psalm 118:22, the stone which the builders rejected has become the headstone of the corner. That word builders is word number 1129. Let's look at the next slide. They also say that G stands for the great architect of the universe, the grand architect of the universe, the supreme architect of the universe. They say, this is from Wikipedia, it's the conception of God discussed by many Christian theologians and apologists. As a designation, it is used within Freemasonry to represent the deity neutrally in whatever form. You know, whatever God you worship, whatever God you want to call on. In fact, you know it's a prerequisite in a Masonic lodge. You must believe in God. You must believe in God. It doesn't matter what God. It could be Allah, Buddha, Christ, Krishna. Don't matter. As long as you believe in a God. Remember, they're universal. All the gods. And it says, and by whatever name each member may individually believe in. You put that in gematria, notice, or YaHmatria, sorry, I got to get that G's hard to get out. YaHmatria, it means prophet, things of profit set forward. We're going to talk about that next time, about these profiting that they do. And Strong's 1966 is the next number, and it means Hillel, Lucifer. It's the very word used in Isaiah 14:12, Lucifer. That's who they're following. The third number, 2982, means to tread down underfoot and be polluted. Now, I want you to notice something else about 430, which means God. The Church of Satan in America was founded on 430, God, right? 1966, which means Hillel, Lucifer, right? Now, I want to tell you something about these Church of Satan. They say they don't believe in Satan as a being. They said that you're a god. You're a god. Okay, you're a god. There's a God within you. Now I got to get this last one here, and then we'll turn it over. But let me show you a quote from Pastor. Next slide. Okay, this is from the 12th book of Israel, chapter 1584. Pastor says, turn over to Psalm 118 and look at verse 22. He says, the person Yeshua was rejected by these Masons. He was found guilty by the chief priests who were the leaders, the top leaders. Chief, that means top. Remember the top bow that Yahweh's going to lop off? And he says here, Psalm 118:22, the stone which the builders, the masons, that word there is mason, builders, masons rejected. They're the ones that deal with the laws falsely. They're also called scribes in the second part of the book of Yahweh, and that's Psalm 118:22. The stone which the masons rejected has become the headstone of the corner. Now that's prophecy. Now, yeah, let's I'm going to have to skip through this because my time's up, but I'm going to show this last thing because I got to set Pastor up. Go to the very last slide. We'll cover these other slides next time. Just go to the very last slide with the why, because I want to go out with a why, okay? We need to know why we're using why, okay? Notice the Hebrew Yod and the letter Y, both 828 in YaHmatria. That's the birth date of the witness Israel. Now, when you add up the numbers in the Hebrew Yod gematria, you get 2533, and it means greatly beloved. Remember Yeshurun, Yisrael, greatly beloved? The letter Y, when you add up all the numbers, you get 1789, and it means to sprout, to grow green, and to bring forth. Strong's Greek 1789 means to educate, nourish up in, train, form the mind. Remember, he's a builder. He's forming us. He's forming our character. But he's doing it according to Yahweh's pattern. Remember the Y. When you add up the numbers in, now look at, the Y is Yahweh, 1934. Wow, what a coincidence. And when you add up all those numbers, you get 3026 from 7717, which means a witness. A witness. Yes, Yisrael, the witness, Yisrael, to testify, to record. Okay, that's all I have time for. I'm going to leave pastors up here. No, I'm already over. So if you'd all please stand, it's been a great blessing. And remember why. Now you know why, okay? Use YaHmatria. Don't give the gods any credit. They had nothing to do with the Mark of the Beast book and all the writings of the house of Yahweh, okay? So YaHmatria, okay? All right. And with that, if you're all standing, I'd like to turn it over now to the great Kohan Yehuda